Professor Divine Ahaji. He's head of department at the Center for Settlement Studies, Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology.
Head of the Center for Settlement Studies at the KNUST, Professor Divine Ahaji.
Professor Divine Ahaji is the head of the Center for Settlement Studies at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology.
My name is Professor Divine Koku Ahaji, former Vice Dean of the Faculty of Built Environment of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, KWASI, and currently the head of the Center for Settlement Studies of the same university.
Professor Divine Ahaji holds a Bachelor of Science in Building Technology from the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, KWASI. He furthered his education at the University of Manchester Institute of Science and Technology, UMIST, UK, for his MSc in Construction Project Management and then PhD in Construction and Project Management from the University of Wolverhampton, UK. He also earned a university teaching certificate from the University of Hong Kong.
My love for settlements study research stems from when I first did my service, national service at the Department of Housing and Planning Research of this university, which is now Center for Settlement Studies, and with their core mandate in settlement issues that generated some interest. But there was an added impetus when I had to pursue my PhD in the UK, and by the time I was concluding my PhD, the findings suggested a very strong link between housing and environmental impact. And so that also motivated me to begin to look at, especially not housing alone in terms of the physical structure, but then the environmental issues that are connected to it. And in addition to that, in recent times with the Sustainable Development Goals and the African AU Agenda 2063, this has added more motivation that it is important to focus on research in settlement and housing in order to be able to have the environment in a holistic manner towards addressing environmental issues.
Professor Divine Ahaji is a full professor of construction and human settlements development. He brings on board more than 20 years' experience in teaching and research in project management, urban construction practice and skills development, and community-based flood risk management. He has published over 80 academic papers in both local and international journals, conferences, proceedings, and contributed to 4 book chapters. In 2021, the AD Scientific Rankings named Professor Ahaji amongst the top 40 researchers at KNUST and 150 in Ghana. In 2008, he was listed as the 4th most cited author in the International Journal of Project Management.
In academia, it said either you publish or perish. But I will even say now it's about you increase your citations or you perish. In terms of the lessons, the first one I will talk about is in terms of leadership. When it comes to publication, it is good to ensure that you are publishing where the leading researchers are also publishing, because in that case, you are able to receive very good reviews, and which enhances your publication and can put your paper in the high-ranking citation papers around the world. We also need to be able to position your work, even though it is in the local context, also in the global perspective. So whilst you are doing your research, even though it has a local jurisdiction, it must always be positioned in the global context, because that also enhances your visibility. And then what is now becoming very important in terms of multidisciplinary research, you must strive to collaborate. But to collaborate does not mean that you must always be the follower. There must be evidence to show that you are also a leader in your area and you have carved a niche for yourself in terms of research publication. And then in ending, I will say that the issue about the impact agenda is also something that I've very much learned, because I've come to understand that research done in the ivory tower can take up to 15 to 20 years to get into the public. And so, as a researcher, you need to devise innovative ways to be able to make sure that your findings get to the community for which the research is meant for.
Professor Haji is also a prolific online writer dedicated to disseminating his research findings beyond academia.
I've been joined by Professor Divine Ahaji. He's a research fellow at the Center for Settlement Studies here at the KWASI University of Science and Technology. He's also the head of department. They have done a number of works when it comes to flooding in the Ashanti region, particularly in KWASI.
Ghana has a social housing problem. The country has a housing deficit of 1.7 million units. To meet the shelter needs of the population, an estimated 170,000 housing units would have to be built annually. Professor Divine Ahaji observed, access to good decent houses promote good health.
Head of the Center for Settlement Studies at the KNUST, Professor Divine Ahaji, is however advising the NPP to review its manifesto policy on rent to include workers in the informal sector.
I have Professor Divine Ahaji. He's head of department at the Center for Settlement Studies, KWASI University of Science and Technology. Prof, thank you very much for your time this afternoon.
Some of the harsh reality there of some of the city's dwellers here in Accra. Professor Divine Ahaji is the head of the Center for Settlement Studies at the KWASI University of Science and Technology. He joins me for a conversation. Thank you, Prof, for joining us. So tell us, for example, what's the impact of living in some of these areas will be on the productivity of the country as a whole?
For a country that has majority of the people in the informal sector who are on low income, government should be looking at the issue of what we call social housing.
Social housing.
You see, and taking care of the poorest of the poor. And then those in the middle and upper, you find other means to also take care of them. Yeah.
He is the winner of the 2020 Emerald Driving the Impact Agenda. With this feat, Professor Haji becomes the first African and also university academic from an emerging economy to win the award since it was launched 3 years ago.
First of all, it has always been my conviction that research should not stay in academia, but must permeate into the public. And so I think winning this award vindicated my position and also has given me the motivation to try to now focus attention in always trying to make sure that there is an impact agenda in terms of any research that I do, in terms of how I'm going to achieve impact. If you look at it from the perspective of academia, I would say that what it means to me over there is that in the past, there was this general or public opinion that if you are in academia and you are in a developing country, you cannot more or less be relevant at the global level. But winning this award has demonstrated that you can be a researcher in the developing country and can still become innovative and relevant. And I think in terms of that one, it's also very significant. And then from the public perspective, this award has shown me that the public is actually receptive and are willing to listen to us if we avail ourselves to them with our research findings. In my modest way, I want to be remembered for being at the forefront of driving the impact agenda in terms of pushing innovation, in terms of how to take research from the ivory tower into the community. And also, I will also want to be remembered for at least generating interest in the public, because now I have a lot of people in social media and Facebook who are following research in academia, you know, and I think it's interesting to know that they also want to see what is going on in academia. And